Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. We are getting prepped and prepared. There he is. There's the guy. Tale of Two Wolves. Fantastic. Let's take a look, see why he's not appearing over here yet. Oh, am I still using it over here? Let's see. There. Activate, activate. And he should be back. There he is. Okay. Fantastic. So, I do apologize. I have stuff, clutter, pop out. We're just getting prepped. We're getting prepped with our monitoring. Because don't forget, whenever you're doing something live, you want to make sure that everything is working properly. And now, my sound is working. Perfect. Sound is good. Video is great. We are doing fantastic today. Now, the only concern that I have, as I've mentioned before, with this type of monitoring is that I have OBS up so I can see if I'm live, which I am live, but I can't see if anybody's on with what I'm doing here. So go ahead and drop it in the chat. Let me know that you're here, and we are doing live practice. I'm going to mention some things first before we get into it. I also am watching the Christian magician Matthew over on TikTok. You got to check him out. He's got some great things happening. Yeah, he's doing some great things over there. So check him out. Okay, so the Tale of Two Wolves will have to do with the Alpha Lux Wolf Pack. I do want to talk about our book sponsorship for Maximum Entertainment 2.0. Yes, this book is basically you get to sponsor. So if you donate to my channel and you say, hey, I want to send this book to this person, I will match 50%. I already have the first book, so we only need enough shipping to send it out to somebody, which means if you or somebody else that you know wants this book, you could sponsor it for yourself. I don't care. We look at the address that you want to send it to. We determine how much, behind the scenes, determine how much the shipping is. You cover half the cost. I'll cover half the cost. I'll send it out to whoever. Okay, as long as, depending on how we want to do it. And then I will sponsor these books forever. As long as they're in print, I want to get these books into people's hands. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. We also do our Raise Your Level workshop every single Monday. We pick different topics and we work on them. So there's that out of the way. Here's my notes, so we'll get to that. I still have giveaways across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We have a size 10 ring from Copeland Coins, as well as a box of 12 cards, decks of cards, not 12 single cards. They are six Kickstarter decks in here, as well as 6 bicycle decks for you to get started on your collection and magical journey, so that you have enough material to go. Again, this is a free giveaway. All you have to do is just let me know in the comments whether or not you want to participate in this giveaway, and then you can have the opportunity to win. We currently have, I believe, 6 or 7 people, so we need to get more people involved with that giveaway. Anyway, so here's what we have so far. We're going to go ahead and read through it. Like I said, I am watching The Christian Magician. I'm actually going to turn it down a little bit because it is in my ear. And I might shut it off completely if it gets too distracting for me. I do apologize. I like to support the other creators on the channel. You can see in the background here, somewhere down here, I got my weights down there. I'm working out. Raise your level. That doesn't just include performing. That includes across the board. Take care of yourself, right? Okay, let me go ahead and read what I have so far, and then we will work our way through it because we need to apply certain things to the trick. So, the Tale of Two Wolves, card routine. We all have a terrible battle raging inside of us. There are 2 wolves. One is light, one is dark. The darkness Sorry, I have it crossed out. The dark one is... Okay, I wrote it twice. Sorry, I apologize. Can't read my own notes. The dark one is evil, full of anger, sorrow, regret, greed, self-pity, and false pride. The light one is good, full of joy, peace, love, humility, kindness, and faith. We all share this fate, but the outcome is different for us all. Within this raging struggle, we ask, which one wins? The simple answer, the one you feed. Now, I've seen many versions of this. Some of them end with that. Simple, straightforward message. Two wolves, which one wins? The one you feed. But I have seen an expanded version that I have condensed here for you. But life is not always simple. Exclamation point! Haven't done that in a while. For the starving wolf, for the starving wolf knows jealousy and loneliness. The evil wolf lashes out in fear, but the good wolf withers in selflessness. I had this section, so there's two different endings that I have here, but I didn't like this ending because it uses a word that I didn't previously establish, so it doesn't really make sense. So it didn't really justify the use of it. So I will read to you the final that I have, and then I'll read you the alternative. So here's what I got here. Feed neither and lose both. Feed one and lose your whole self. Feed both and ... because I haven't finished it. So there's a punchline, not a punchline. That's the punchline doesn't really work here because it's not a joke, right? There's a message, a moral message here. Feed both and be whole, be complete, be something, right? So this is the other one. Uses the word disperser, right? Because there's actually a technical term, a disperser, and I'll explain what that is here in a second. This is the other finisher that I have, the other alternative ending. You are the disperser wolf that takes all of the good and all of the evil of your pack and journeys out into a new world or new territory to create a new pack. So that's a rough draft version of that. But the disperser wolf, yes, that's its actual technical term for the wolf that he's not shunned, he's not forced out. The disperser wolf is a wolf that carries some of the best qualities, or if not all the best qualities of the pack. Just like the honeybees will send out bees to go find a new hive, a new place to have a hive. The disperser wolf's job is to go out and to start a family. Now, a family with the genetics of the original pack so that you can continue to grow and continue to thrive. They'll send out this strong wolf that has all these good qualities out so that it can spread. People do this. You have your family, your original pack, whether you have depending on what kind of background you come from, ultimately you've made it to a point in your life where you might be considering going out. Like myself, I have a pack of my own. So you're going out into the wild and you're trying to make it. You're trying to succeed. Well, in performance, that's really what you are, right? You're trying to take the qualities and the things that you've learned and you're trying to put them into the context of what message you want to share so that you can disperse that information, that knowledge. The Christian magician, all of his theme stuff is all about his faith, which is so relevant to his life and so important to share that message. Whether you believe or not, you have to look at the context of what they are doing and how they are being true to their whole self. The two wolves, good and evil, are concepts. Light and dark, concepts. Because in the broader scheme of the world, we're just trying to label packaged ideas. Packaged ideas that may be more about individuality versus community, which again are labels. You're just trying to condense things. Because if we looked at the terms that we're using here, just so that we can truly understand the message that we're trying to spread. Looking back over here at the Christian Magician, we have reached a point where we're going to go ahead and exit this. Because he is live. So go check him out when you get a chance. He's live all the time. Let's see what's going on over here. I do apologize. YouTube creator. Here, my April highlights. Okay. Thanks for letting me know what's going on in April today. Like, it's almost the end of May. That's fine. We used to do videos where we would go over our analytics every month. Like in the following month, we go over analytics. For instance, I just received a Google check. Yes, the ever elusive money that you receive from YouTube. I received one. I get one about every 5 months. About $100. It's fine. I enjoy what I do here on the channel. Okay, so now let's break down the two things. I call one light and one dark in this passage, because we understand the emotion that we're conveying here. There's two wolves. You kind of want to explain them a little bit. The dark one, which I hesitated writing it like that because certain connotations of, religious connotation or just fantasy connotation. The dark wolf isn't necessarily evil, so I don't like the fact that I have like that context of anger, sorrow, regret, greed. These aren't evil. They're not bad necessarily in and of themselves. They are emotions that you feel that are more negative, which I've always enjoyed the context of positive versus negative. Negative doesn't necessarily mean that it can be bad. So that's where I'm kind of stumbling here with these context clues, because in the reality of who we are as people, if you want to be successful, does that mean you feed the negative wolf because you have emotions that drive you? For instance, we know that in terms of how peak works, how you go from one to the next in your life, it can't all be good and it can't all be bad. When we use the context in that fashion, we're not saying that it's bad, negative, evil. We're saying that there are things that have happened to you that have then caused you to react in a certain way. Now, what it's trying to say here, I think, is that you can give in to these things, but ultimately the path that you were on should lead to enlightenment, not to destruction. And that's kind of where you want to lead yourself. So anger, for instance. Let's say you are angry and bitter at the world, and so you destroy things and tear other people down in order to feel better. That's probably the wrong way to go. But let's say you use your anger and your sorrow to create a better life for yourself by creating a drive, a passion, intensity in your life that makes you say, and this is a Doctor Who quote, nobody else will ever feel this way. Nobody else will feel this pain. You have to harness these negative emotions that could plummet you down into darkness. Again, a different context, a different spin on what it is that we're trying to convey. The emotion that we were trying to convey is that it's not of the devil, it's not of Satan, it's not of evil. It's the emotions that you find yourself in this ever expanding darkness within your own mind, where you spiral and spiral and you can't see a way forward. These are the emotions that we're talking about when you live such a desperate life that you cannot even fathom. Can't even fathom waking up in the morning. You can't fathom eating your favorite foods. You can't even fathom talking to your favorite people when everything that you do is just shrouded in self-pity. See, we have some interesting things here, right? Because anger and sorrow and regret can be said. Actually, I should have said regret there. That would have been perfect. Anger and sorrow and leading into regret. Now, greed is something entirely different. Now, again, in terms of the understanding and the way that we have in our society, we have the seven deadly sins, which are a representation of things that have been labeled as bad in our society. In this case, we're talking about greed, which jealousy and envy. Envy is a sin. Jealousy is something different. So they're kind of in the same. You can be jealous, and then that leads to envy. But the difference is that, let's say somebody has an orange soda, and you say, "Oh man, I really wish I had an orange soda. I haven't had one in a while. I'm jealous." Okay, no harm done. You're just like, "Oh man, I'm missing out," right? Envy is, you have an orange soda and I don't have one. Knock it off the table and spill it all over the place. Envy is destructive. Envy is taking away from others because you can't have it. Jealousy, I'm going to go out and get an orange soda. I'm going to go out. You know what? I really could use one of those. I'm going to go get one. So now you're jealous, but now you're okay with them having it because you understand that because you don't have it, that doesn't mean they can't have it. Or say you're trying to stay away from soda. So you're like, "Oh, I don't want any soda. I see you have one. Man, I'm jealous. I remember when I could have soda." Then you don't get it. And that's fine. These are all choices that you can make. Now, self-pity is another one. This is where things can become destructive. All of these can be destructive, but some are more destructive than others. And so in terms of self-pity, having this idea or this notion that no matter what you do, nothing will ever be set right. And it's a spiral of destruction because you don't ever try to create anything in your life. You don't ever try to create art. You don't ever try to create things that are beautiful because you won't ever put yourself forward because it's not good enough. And so you believe that within yourself and you stay within the darkness. Now, false pride. False pride is an interesting one because this one is it's not the opposite of self-pity, but it's the negative side of the other side of self-pity, which self-pity is, I won't put anything forward, I won't be creative, I won't create anything because nobody's going to like it. So I'm not even going to bother. False pride is, I'm going to put stuff forward that I think is the best thing in the entire world. And I'm going to mistakenly believe, and this is where the really fine line is, that if other people don't like it, it's their fault. So I create YouTube for the purpose. This is my hobby. This is what I enjoy. I love magic, and I always wanted to get into teaching, and so I tried to be in mentor roles. I have worked as a mentor. I've worked as a tutor. I enjoy sharing this information with you to help you get better, to help you. And we have a good time. That's what it's all about. If you don't like my advice, then hopefully I'm entertaining enough for you to enjoy what I'm doing here on the channel, which is perfectly fine. But with false pride, I would take every single form of criticism that comes to this channel and I would simply just say, it is your fault. The burden is on you for not liking what I do. I seek every single day to try to raise my level and to do better so that I can share that information with you and that we could all collectively potentially come better. Because if I can put out 10 facts and one of them puts you in sets you into a different direction where things start to work for you, then I'm happy for you because I've done something for you. Maybe I took you from the darkness and I turned you to the light of your own brain, your own mindset. And that is where we turn from false pride and then we turn into the lighter side of things. Staying away from false pride. Do not blame other people for your shortcomings. Do not believe that everything that you do is perfection because you always have room to improve. If you listen to individuals in our society who push and drive, Now, you have some individuals who are successful who don't promote this intensity, but you have people like Goggins and people. I've seen Denzel Washington talk about this, but I've seen a whole bunch of other people talk about this intensity where the grind never ends. When I was in sales, I stopped and talked to this guy who was fairly successful in sales. He sold transmissions, I believe. And he said, the reason why I have all this, because he's at his second house with a three-wheel truck. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have lifted this thing up and put it in my pocket. It was tiny. He drives it back and forth because they lived out on this back road. So this is his like second house, I'm guessing, or like a side house. And this is where he just comes on vacation just to chill in the woods. Fantastic, right? He said it'd be Thanksgiving. He'd be sitting around the table with his family. The phone rings. He says, hold up. He goes, gets the sale. He continuously put forth his ethics, his business first, so that he could be successful and then he could have the things that he wanted later. And so sometimes you have to make those sacrifices because the reality of it is you do not blame other people for your shortcomings. The reality is that when things fall short, you don't quit. And you keep going. Because if you feed this darkness, it will consume you. And those are the emotions that we want to stay away from. We want to use that pain to better ourselves and to potentially better the lives of the people that we care about. But success is not easy. Success is painful. Success hurts because you have to go through the darkness in order to create light. That's deep. That's intense for one line. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Now, let's talk about the light side of things in this passage. Joy. Joy is simple. Joy is straightforward. It's not just happiness. It's contentment in a way that is beyond happiness. I'm happy because I'm doing the thing that I love. I'm joyful because life is a blessing. I'm joyful because I get to walk around. I'm joyful because I get to breathe this air. I'm joyful because I enjoy my life, no matter what happens. The good, the bad, the indifference. Positive, negative, neutral. Whether something is good, I'm going to enjoy it. Whether it's bad, I know that I can become stronger from this bad. Neutral. This has nothing to do with me. I'm going to keep my, I'm going to just keep my nose out of other people's business unless they seek out my help. I'm just going to enjoy what I have. And I'm going to work towards getting what I want. In a way, once again, that can better yourself, provide a better life for the people you care about, and potentially won't actively hurt other people. Now, if you're seeking a competitive promotion where there's only a handful of people or it's between you and another person, if you win, you can feel empathy for the fact that the other person didn't get the promotion, but make sure that you earned it and that you didn't take shortcuts. So that's joy. Humility leads right into that idea of, I'm successful in this promotion, so I'm going to do even better now that I've gotten this promotion in the context of this conversation, but I'm not going to dehumanize the fact that I won and you lost. Stay away from that mindset. Yes, you are seeking to continually better yourself, but don't make you want to make sure that because you won, you want to earn it. You want to continue to earn it every single day. And that other person who, if they're still there, make sure that you look at what it is that you did right and look at the things that they struggled with and make them better for it. Say, I am now in a position where I can help you reach this position because I noticed in that race or whatever it happened to be, I noticed you were doing this or this happened. Here's what I think we can work on. Because be a leader. Choose to be a leader. Choose to be humble. Because the reality of it is, there is no leader in the world who should ever ask something of the people they lead that they would not do themselves. Lead from the front, not from the back. Okay? Kindness. Be kind. Always be kind. I actually have this on my Facebook. I'll have to bring it up because I don't have it memorized. But this is another Doctor Who quote. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. So, see if I can find it. Okay. Never be cruel. Never be cowardly. Remember, hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Laugh hard, run fast, be kind. So that is the creed of the Doctor, Doctor Who. It was the one Peter Capaldi stated. Now, they've obviously modified things as they go, but the context would be that this is his code. Always be kind. He even said in one episode where he almost lost everything and almost gave in, he kind of just had an epiphany where he's like, I am an idiot. Because he's like, I'm just a guy out here in a box. Like, I'm just trying to do right by people. That's what matters. And so that's why we love these stories where the hero is facing these struggles along with us, but they never compromise their principles. And they make sure that the people around them have better lives for that. Even if they have to face the darkness, they make sure that others don't have to face it. So, faith. Faith is so important. No matter what faith it is that you have, whether you are religious, whether you're atheist, whether you are a person of any background, you have to have conviction in what it is that you believe. Because if you want to be successful in life, you have to be consistent. You have to have goals. You have to have morality in order to face those things. Now, morality in this context is moral ethics. Like, it's the idea of, here is the blueprint of the things that I believe, and I'm going to stick to that code because that's what consistency is. That's what it means to be faithful to what you believe. Good, bad, and different. Believe what you want. Another podcast that I love listening to, but the individual who is local, I know him personally, it's called Conversations. He's a pastor. They are a pastor. They, in terms of what they do, they reach out to people in their community. And when I say their community, I mean everybody. They've talked to a lot of different people. They have talked to all different religious backgrounds. They are in, or they were going to school, they may have completed it by now, but they were having deep conversations with people of different belief backgrounds, different religions. And this was absolutely phenomenal because it gets you thinking about the fact that we can all come together, even if we believe different things, and we can have genuine conversations. And even if you don't believe what they believe, you can be willing to hear what they have to say, because a majority of the time, it's just simple statistics. A majority of the time, the stories might be different, but the meaning, the message behind it is always the same, because we all care about the same things. We all want similar things. So that's why we do what we do, and that's why we're focusing on the tale of two wolves, because we have a message that we want to share, and so we want to make sure that we are being faithful and truthful to that message. We all share this fate. That's a simple, straightforward thing. Everything in our life, we're all here on this planet, as far as we understand it. You're out there watching this. I'm here making this video. We got the Christian magician over on TikTok doing his thing. We got people next door, down the road. We got people all over the planet. As far as I understand, we all exist on this world, in this world together. However the physics of that plays out. We all have different backgrounds. We all come from different things. We're all raised differently. Similar, but different. And so no matter how much of all of that we share together, we all exist in this fate together. We have different resources. We have different backgrounds, different teachings, and all of that. but the outcome is different for us all. There's research that shows, in terms of the context of the darkness, right? So you have research that shows individuals who became more violent citizens of our society came from the same background. Same background. Like they had a sibling that had the same upbringing. Nothing bad was ever shown to have happened, but things took a dark twist. Similarly, with genetics of there's a special word of the physicality of it. You had people who ate a lot of fast food as kids, but were muscle like as soon as they hit puberty, muscles. Because genetics. So there are a lot of things that play a different role. No matter if we have the same basic beginnings, we're all born into this world, hopefully. If you're out there and you weren't born of this world, drop a comment down below, because you're one of the real ones. Just saying. But it's all different for all of us, so we have to make sure that as we go through this life that we can try to find a little bit of understanding of the wider world. So within this raging struggle, it's a storm. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's sunny days. There's rain. There's tornadoes. There's volcanoes. There's all of this chaos in the world. And so you ask, which one wins? Because sometimes you just might not know. When you have the light and the dark, these emotions of the mind that come and go. Sometimes they stay a little bit longer. And so we answer that question with the one you feed. Because if you are steeped in anger and sorrow, how do you find joy? How do you find humility? How do you find peace and love? How do you reach beyond the darkness to find the light? Hopefully you have people supporting you who can help show the way. But obviously, in the world that we live in, and all of the twists and turns and the ups and downs and the ins and outs of mystery, it's never that simple. Sometimes you can't just eat a sandwich and not feel hungry. Because sometimes you crave something else. Sometimes you crave something you can't have. It's impossible. The thing that you want, maybe it's out of your reach today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe it's something that you shouldn't have. What do you do then? Do you find yourself in the darkness, withering away, because you become starved? For the starving wolf knows jealousy and loneliness. Now notice I didn't say envy, because at this point, the wolf is not destructive. The wolf is sad and lost. He has jealousy because the other wolf is eating. But what happens, as we already discussed, what happens if you continually starve the dark wolf? That jealousy can become envious, because it becomes destruction, right? Right now it's just jealousy. Now it's just looking over and saying, this wolf seems to be getting something that I'm not getting. I'm jealous of that. Which, remember what I said about jealousy? That means the dark wolf looks at it and says, okay, their circumstances are different, but it's okay, because maybe it'll be my turn next, but I can be sad because I'm not getting what they're getting. But then it happens again tomorrow and again tomorrow. And this is what happens when you do not address the loss and pain. Say you lose a loved one. Say you didn't get first place. Say you didn't get what you wanted, and you have false pride because you didn't live up to your own expectations, but you believe it's other people's fault. Maybe you have self-pity because I'm always going to get second or third or fifth or 10th place. I'm never going to get first place, no matter what I do. But you let that spiral down and down and down, and then it becomes envy. And so now you want to attack the light wolf. You want to get rid of all of those positive things because you believe you don't deserve them. And the loneliness, because that's another thing that leads all of this. Anger, jealousy, anger, sorrow, regret, greed, self-pity, and false pride. All of these things can come down to when you lose yourself, or when you're by yourself, or when all of this darkness culminates together and you are alone in the darkness. That is when, to use a lack of better word, this is when the demons start to come. The demons within yourself, these negative emotions. Because as you sit there, you start to personify these things in the darkness. You've probably done it. You probably sit in the darkness and you probably looked out and your eyes play tricks on you as you start to see forms bouncing. And those are the shadows of what could be. And so you become lonely, and then you start to resent things around you. And the wolf starts to decay. But all of this comes from, we call it the evil wolf, but again, we try to stay away from these types of terms, right? He lashes out in fear, because that's what we do when we're hurt. We lash out. Now, on the other side of that, so we want to try to stay away from the fear that we get from all of that. Because now you've gone so far down the path that you turn things to destruction because you are envious, and so you want to take away what others have. Now here's the sad thing. This is where the sorrow, but here's where the understanding comes from the other side of you, the light wolf. The other side of you who wants all of these things looks at the dark wolf and wants to help this wolf, because the light wolf can feel sorrow too. And they look and they see, oh, you're lonely. You're all alone. You're hurting. Let me help you. Let me give you everything that I can. And so that light wolf, whether it be to your dark wolf or to other people around you, will give and give and give and give and give and give and give until there is nothing left to give. And so they wither in selflessness because they have it all. They have all of this to give, and they will give until they are at zero. And that's why we need to balance the things in our life. Because without that darkness to hold on to something for ourselves, if you consider the yin yang, which has always been a symbol of this unity and this chaos, the swirl of positive and negative, the good and evil, the light and the dark, there's a little dot on both sides. That's the little dot you hold for yourself. That's your center. That's the mind and the body. Because you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your mind. You have to take care of your body. You have to leave a little bit left for yourself. But remember, the light wolf won't do that. They will give and give and give to help others without even a shred or thought of helping themselves. Because within that humility, within their faith, they will start to lose a part of themselves without the other wolf to help them. Now, there was one here. This is one that I've crossed out because this is an idea that I was playing around with. After the dark wolf and the light wolf, they fall apart, right? And you say that the dark wolf lashes out in fear, and the good wolf withers in selflessness. Good. For one cannot exist without the other, because there has never been two wolves. Because there is in fact only one wolf. And then I say that wolf is known as the disperser wolf. Which basically, leading into the final where you are the disperser wolf, but again, there's no context for this disperser idea. And it kind of throws off the flow of this poem. But the idea is, in the context of the reality of the world that you live in, you have to have the light and the dark together as one. Taking those two wolves and merging them into one grayish wolf, where that gives you the ability to have all of these things and to grow from all of these things, so that the dark wolf doesn't lash out in fear and the light wolf doesn't wither in selflessness. You can be selfless, but you can also hold back a little bit for yourself. And you don't want to lash out in fear, but you can feel the sorrow. You can feel the anger. You can feel regret. You can feel all of this darkness within yourself. But instead of lashing out in fear, you lash out with hope. And you remember the pain that's deep inside your chest. And you make sure that every single day you wake up, that the world around you doesn't have to feel that pain either. And that's what the light wolf can do. The light wolf can shroud the dark wolf, and the dark wolf can shroud the light wolf, and they can merge together and protect each other from both sides. And then you can disperse all of that core, the core of power, this spiral of light and dark, the balance of chaos and order. And you can share that with the world and disperse it out into the wild. And get other people there too. So that's the poem. Now that we are 40 minutes into this, we're going to talk about what we can do with it. Now, of course, we have our cards. And I think I've mixed them back up together, but that's okay. We'll get them out again. And the thought here for what it is that we want to do is we obviously want to have the two jokers. We also want to potentially do something with the aces, because that's a big thing. I like the Canis Lupus, or we might lose that. It depends on how we go about it. We're going to get the built-in trick for this is the 2. And I'm missing an ace. I skipped over it somewhere back here. Now, initially when I did this, I also thought about the spades, because the spades, the royal spades, have the wolf marks on them. So was an idea that I initially thought of, was doing something with them. There's nothing on the 10, but that makes the royal court. Now, I could potentially get rid of that one, but we'll see how that goes. So now we have this idea in most things that we do that there needs to be 3 phases to any routine. And there should be a building of morality and the story of it. Now, we could use and we have the ace of spades as the kicker there for that. Plus we have the other 3 aces, which could be the balance between light and dark. And so we can have this union between the two, and then we can use the context of the 2 wolves becoming one, and one wins and one loses type of scenario here, leading you down that path. And then we could potentially do something with the conversion of the royal courts and the aces. The Canis Lupus could either, like I said, exist in the deck, or could be taken out of the deck for context of the wolf, but we already have a lot of other symbolism here. Now, the deck box will also be used because there is a reveal on the box for the 2. So initially, when I came up with the idea of this, when I first opened the deck, I had this card, the Canis Lupus, being switched out for a 2. Basically, in the idea of, having the double, you take the 2 and you put it in the box. That was the basic concept. And then you basically say, of course, the 2 is in here, but that is in fact the Canis Lupus. That's the wolf. And as you open the box, you can see that the 2 of spades was already marked. It was already destined to happen. This is the fate we all share. So giving that as the context, I'm looking at my notes here, and what I have is obviously there are two wolves. So my opener would simply be there are two wolves. Shoot the card across, one dark and one light. So purple will be light and black will be dark. One dark and one light, and have them separated. Perfect. That's a good way to start, and that's where we reveal the two jokers. Now, as we're talking about them, the dark one is first, so you can say, just giving context of how the opening phase would go, we all have a terrible battle raging inside of us. There are two wolves, one light and one dark. The dark one is evil, full of anger, sorrow, regret, greed, self-pity, and false pride. The light one, doing a little spin to that, is good, full of joy, peace, love, humility, and kindness. Now, we already jump into, that's just the reveal of the two wolves. We all share this fate, but the outcome is different for us all. Now, these are on the table. None of this has entered the fray yet. There's a lot of build-up there because you want a good, solid opener. Let's see. Did I forget to get the other two out? I only see the one. Oh, no, it's on top of the deck. Okay. So now this is a separate thing where we could also talk about this when we talk about the wolf lashing out in fear. But at this point, we need to talk about, we all share this fate, but the outcome is different for us all. Within this struggle, we ask, which one wins? Now, we could potentially do something with the two jokers to make that happen. Potentially, we put them here together. We can do, we'll put the dark one in the center, and we'll put the light one on top. But the dark one is now on top, and the light one, and maybe do like a little switch between the two. So there's potential there, but I feel like that's pretty weak for what it is that we're trying to convey. We could even do the idea of the switch, have them face up. I do this with the jacks. We can do the Charlier cut, which looks like that. Or actually, the Charlier is like this. So we open it up, and the light one would be on the bottom because that was on the left, and the dark one's on top. And we can say we all share this fate, where we have darkness inside. We want the light to be on the top, but sometimes, and that's a little bit more better, we ask which one wins. That doesn't really work. We all share the fate, so just trying to get this idea of pattern down. We all share this fate. Darkness inside. We have darkness inside, but we want the light on the outside, or we have light on the outside. Something along those lines. And then, of course, it changes. The outcome is different for us all. Within this raging struggle, and this is all things that I already do for the acrobatic jacks. This raging struggle, all of this is the struggle. We ask ourselves, which one wins? The simple answer is the one you feed. And there are the two wolves together in the center. But life is not always that simple. The wolves can be done now. Life is not always that simple. And then we can do, let's see. I like the idea of having the two, because we already used the deck to show that the wolves were in the deck. And we can do the starving wolf. Oops, backwards. For the starving wolf knows jealousy and loneliness. Now here's where this wouldn't work. So we'd have to have the card selected. So this will represent you, right? Let's see if we how do we want to do this? Have a card selected. That'll represent you. Then we want to lose it back into the pack. Clearly see going into the middle, all of that fun stuff. But of course, and then that would be the intermediate part. The answer is not so simple. Picking a card. The Starving Wolf. So we're showing the Canis Lupus card. The Starving Wolf knows jealousy and you place it into the box. Knows loneliness. Let's see, the Evil Wolf. The Evil Wolf. Ooh, look at that. So we have the wolf again, the Evil Wolf. Lashes out in fear. So if we did the same thing where we brought it over here, we showed the Evil Wolf lashes out in fear. So then we can do something like this where we lash out and, oh, that's not even the right card. Oh, because we already put that down here. So here was my thoughts on that. My exposing the 2, because the 2 is in the box. Does that really make sense for us? It's a really good question. If we do the lashes out, you can see the marks here. And there's the 2 here. Lashes out in fear. While the good wolf withers in selfishness. So then you have the 2s like that. Now, the question is, does exposing the fact that there's 2 2s, because initially the idea would be that this becomes this, which could be better, but the real question is, how do you get this? I mean, the idea would be is that this wolf, and this could still be, I feel like the idea that you put the 2 in the box is great, but the reveal is already on the box. So we don't need this 2 near the box. We want the wolf in the box. Now I could potentially take a second Canis Lupus card so I can have 2 wolves. 2 Canis Lupus cards. Because I feel like exposing the claw marks on the 2 and showing a second 2 defeats the purpose of having a duplicate. So I want the idea of this 2 turning into that 2. So instead of showing the flip over like this, lashes out like this, what I want to do is, at this point you still think this 2 is in the box, or you think the wolf is still in the box. He lashes out. You could potentially do a same idea here, lashes out there, and then you can do the reveal of the 2 that's in the box. He knows, but we put the wolf in there for loneliness. Then he lashes out in fear, and then the other wolf withers in jealousy. And then, obviously, we haven't even got to this portion of it yet, which is a bigger buildup. But none of that has even been established at this point, because right now it's more of some other things happening. So all of this is not really working out the way that I'm in my brain thinking that, and there should be some other ideas happening here. Because you want the idea of more buildup, but does any of this actually play a role here? Does a 4 of a kind even do anything for us here? Does the Royal Flush do anything? Obviously, using the Ace of Spades could be good. Obviously, having all of this context of the scratches. This could all be revealed at the beginning when talking about the wolf and talking about how maybe just picking a couple, and these could represent some good feelings. These could represent the bad feelings. This could be a separate trick completely. Obviously, he lashes out, and that happens. But again, I don't know if that really works out as well as just doing something like this, where you take the two and do the switch out that way. But again, using the deck boxes almost defeats the purpose, because you want to take the wolf, whether it's these wolves, whether it's the Canis Lupus, you want to have a card in the box, and then you want to have the reveal of the two of spades separate. And I like the idea of the two of spades being referenced. We all share the same fate, but the outcome is different for us all. So how would we go about making that work? Now, there's way more effects that we could use here, but I almost feel like these don't play well with each other. But I still wanted to use the magic of itself. Now, we could do separate things. That's the other thing that really makes this progressive. It's not that long of a poem, and getting the timing right for everything that we want to do doesn't necessarily mean that we have to have multiple effects in the same routine. Obviously, we've got two wolves. We can either go in the direction of the twos, having the Canis Lupus in the box, or we could do a switch move with the aces and the four of a kind here, which would look something like this. We have this idea of the aces, and of course you have the wolf here. Potentially, okay, so if you have 4 cards, the last one would be the 10, and you could flip over all 3 of those. You could even do something a little bit interesting here for going with a double. So having this down here, you could place a double down, have it covered, and that way when you get the ace underneath it and flip it over, and then when you slide it back, you expose the 4 cards. And that's an idea. The Royal Flush. Now, do we need the 10? I mean, that's the context of the Royal Flush. But I almost don't feel like the Royal Flush plays any role in this. And using the justification for using the court cards for the spades is only because they have the scratches on them from the claws of the wolf. But does that mean anything? Does that justify anything here? I almost feel like it doesn't. And I feel like having a 4-ace trick, because nothing is turning into anything else. Like, that's not, I mean, unless you consider the yin yang. But again, there's no buildup. There's no 4 aces. There's no, you're not coordinating any of this. So I feel like I might use the ace of spades, but only in the context of converting it and using it for the 2. So just because it's a nice card with a wolf on it. So in the reality of it, I might actually take out the Canis Lupus card, which says, luxury means to live free of conventions and expectations. Get rid of that, and I could use this as the wolf card. So then I'd have 5 cards total. The 2 jokers would start separately. The box would be separate. and then I could have the 2 cards, and we know that the 2 cards are going to be a conversion, one of the other. So this is here. How do we go about... The jokers are only there for the representation of the 2 wolves, and the 2 becoming 1, which would, feed neither and lose both, feed 1 and lose your whole self, feed both and blank. So what goes in the box? Because and what's the point of the reveal? Is that just fate telling us, like, this indication that 2 become 1? Like, what are we trying to say in order to make that happen? Because I don't like the idea of putting a 2 in the box. I like the idea of isolating things in the box when we talk about jealousy and loneliness. So that's when the box comes in. So when I talk over here, this is where this paragraph is the box reveal. Now, when do we talk about and it could also work with this, with lashing out in fear. Okay, box reveal, not box reveal. Putting something, card in box, and then reveal the 2. The claw 2. So that would be that paragraph. So that would be these 2 things off to the side independently. You'd also need this 2 here, but obviously the 2 would have to have been introduced earlier, which I feel like you could do with the jokers, and then you could do a sandwich trick. Maybe you do the sandwich trick with the wolf. Or the ace would be the all together at the end. So what that would kind of look like is this. A simple walkthrough of all of that. This 2 would have to be somewhere, but I'm not there yet. We're just talking about the first phase, which would be the reveal of the wolf. I can shoot cards properly. I cannot. I've only been practicing this for 5 years now, and I still can't do a top shot. So that's fun. I think the 2, like I've said before, there's actually some funny business with that, but I can't confirm that. But yeah, so a simple shot over here talking about the 2 wolves, like so, and then having another card selected, which, if it is the case, I can just go down to it. That's not the 2. I can just cut here. Yeah, there we go. So deck could be shuffled, doesn't matter. And then I should be able to find the 2. Maybe not. Depending on where it's located in the pack, might be easier or harder to find. But it seems like 9 out of 10 times I can locate the 2 from a lift. So I don't know where it is now. It's gone. Magic. There we go. Okay, so the 2 is here. So if I cut that, does the 2 appear here? No. There it is. Okay. So it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on here. And I wonder if it's cutting to anything else. That's where the real question is here. Is it seem because it seems like there's a 2 there. There's a, but then it goes to an ace. So I don't know why it does that. And then down here it looks like there's another cut, another split. And I don't know if that's just from mixing the cards and then having them folded in different ways. Could be from the cutting process, all that. But there's clearly a card here in the center, but that's not it either. So I'm trying to see if there is a, we're an hour and 5 minutes into this, so we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. But we're trying to see if the 2 is modified in any way. So from cutting the deck, is there any way to find the 2? And it does. It does show up quite a lot. So I don't know. And I'm not even controlling the card. So I'm cutting, and that's not the 2. So I want to make sure that this is as consistent as possible, is really the question here. And I don't feel like it really is up to the standard that I would want it to be, because it only happens very sporadically. So what I would potentially do here is have a card selected in the old-fashioned way, have the card here, lose that card into the pack, have my jokers reintroduced to the pack like so, and then lose them somewhere in the deck. And then, of course, they are going to find your selected card with, using their combined powers. And that, of course, is going to be the 2. Now, you can flip it over like that, or you could do a reveal where you put it to the table. A lot of different ways to do that. Particularly, it's a sandwich trick. So, back to the first page here, and just talking about the fact that the reveal is happening. The real reveal. The first phase will be a sandwich trick. Which makes sense with the jokers and the 2. Phase 2 would be card to box plus card transformation. So basically the 2 of spades from the first trick is now going to have the claws on them. So these would be the first 2 phases like that. Now, what's our kicker ending, right? Because the sandwich trick is a pretty good way to go. And you could do that so many different ways. What would be our kicker ending? What is a good way to end the unity? Now, obviously, you could potentially do, I don't have this stuff, obviously, but a good way would like the anniversary waltz with a double facer. But I don't have the ability to do that, nor would I, I'd have to stick the cards together and all that, which is a good way to do unity. Let's see. Ultimately, it's kind of an ambitious card routine with the backdrop of this. So that is a good question. Using the wolf as the finish, which I think could work if all of this considered. The 2 is now gone. We still have the jokers because this 2 is here. The reveal is on the box. And then we would have to transform these 2 wolves into that, which here's how I would do that. So potentially having this face down like, after revealing this, you have the wolves here like this. Obviously, you still have your first wolf, and then you have your second wolf. We're going to put them face to face, right? Because they have to come face to face with their beliefs. They're battling each other. The raging battle is happening, and then you simply convert it into one wolf. So that could be the final phase, phase 3. Two jokers become the ace of spades. Okay. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward routine with the message in the background, a lot of talking, and a lot of thoughts here. And the card that goes to the box, what could possibly go in the box? I mean, it wouldn't make sense for it to be the ace of spades unless you do the box reveal at the end, where you're putting a card in the box, like, because you're doing this reveal at the end for the jokers. So unless you're putting the jokers in the box, for instance, with the 2, like the jokers are clearly right here. So what are you gonna do? Like get the 2 like this, and then take the 2 and put the 2 in the box, and then, but how do you do the reveal because you put the 2 in the box? See, that doesn't work. It doesn't work to pretend to put the 2 in the box because you need to show this 2 with nothing is happening yet because you've just put the 2 wolves in the box. There's no reason to just go right back to the box. You have to do something in between and showing the 2. So here we go. This could work. So that is in reference to, for the starving wolf knows loneliness, or knows jealousy and loneliness. The evil wolf lashes out in fear, but the good wolf withers. The good wolf withers. Boom. Just showing you that it was there. Now it's here. For the starving wolf knows jealousy and loneliness. Boom. In there. But of course, the evil wolf lashes out in fear, while the good wolf. Nope, the other way around. Yeah. So this would represent the good wolf, because you just had the jokers, but now they're in there. So you did a switcheroo with the jokers, pretending to put the 2 in the box, but you put the jokers in the box. Now you have this here, and then the good wolf withers in selflessness. Because you just talked about the good wolf attacking the dark wolf attacking the good wolf. Good wolf withers because of it. And of course, in the box, the best way to do this would be to pull out the cards as one, and then to flip over and show both wolves, but then show the 2 of spades reveal on the box, which basically, at this point, you could say, because that would be, if this was the ending going into the final phase, withers in selflessness as you tap the box. And then you could say, if you feed neither wolves, you lose both. And then you take a pause, because this is out, these are here. And then you have your next ace already down here like this. And you want to get this like so. If you feed neither, you lose both. Boom. Feed one, lose your whole self. But if you feed both, ooh, look at that. So that's face down on the bottom. Feed both. Boom. and become whole, or become your true self, and find balance or something. Whatever that final or ooh, so this is beautiful, right? Because we're gonna leave this here on top, like that. And that would be on top here like this. The other two, probably under that, yep. The other two would be here. That's all stacked up on top of each other. You're gonna want to get this two. You probably want to do like a convincer move there, getting rid of it before you pop it back to the top. You got these two wolves here like so. That's going to be weird because they're going to have to be face down here in order to make that work. Because then, I guess that could kind of work, but I don't know if anybody would go for that subtlety, which is after, you have your wolves here. After showing this wolf, you're just going to kind of put them behind that like that, just to kind of show, you're going to have the two on top of the wolves to show them they're like that. And of course, these are going to go in here, but that's just the one. Now you're going to come to the final phase after you've done the jump. So this comes back to here. This one comes back to here like that. And that's going to wither in selflessness. And you can see it withering on the box there. You feed neither, you lose both. Get ready with a double, or not a double, get ready with a pinky break. Feed one, you show like that, and you lose your whole self. But feed both, and that to so we did figure something out there. We're having a lot of fun. Okay, so this is still on top after you've done this reveal here. Because this would be here like this, and then you got to get rid of that two there. So my recommendation would be maybe just get this card to the bottom somehow. You're not gonna worry about. See, that's there's some funny business with this card. Just put it to the bottom as you show this, show the box, what have you. Show these two here like this. Get your pinky break under your next card. Bring it over here. Feed one. And risk losing your whole self. Feed both and become the wolf that you were meant to be. Okay. So we have to get rid of that bottom card, the top card, the two here that was on top. And that's a simple cleanup to do. And that's fine. So you just want to get that card out of the way. Doesn't matter if it's in the deck, bottom deck, doesn't matter, you can get rid of it. Create some distance and separation from that. Sandwich, placing cards in the box, but revealing the claw on the two because your two jumps back to your hand. So now we got to talk about transitions, but we are at an hour and 20 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and call it good today on this practice. We've got our routine set up. Now we got to practice, but we got to work on our transitions, and we will have something beautiful for you, hopefully in the next couple of days. So thank you, everybody, and remember, always remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And hopefully, we see you in the next one.